Hey everyone, welcome to the Autoimmune Dietitian YouTube channel. My name is Annie Rubin. I am a registered dietitian and I work mainly with people struggling with autoimmune diseases. So in my work with my clients, I like to implement a nutrition roadmap to really help them improve all their symptoms and to get their lives back. So we are continuing this conversation about food triggers with alcohol today. And alcohol can be a huge flare trigger for people, despite the fact that it can be protective against inflammation in moderate intakes. So today I'm breaking down how alcohol is linked to inflammation, what it does to your gut, and what to do about it. So before I jump in, I just need to attach my usual disclaimer to this video that the information in today's talk is not the substitute for the diagnosis, treatment, or care of disease by a medical provider. This is for informational purposes only, so please consult your qualified health professional for any changes to your medical care. Okay, how does alcohol impact inflammation? So for years, we've been told that moderate intakes of alcohol, specifically red wine, has an anti-inflammatory effect and can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. In fact, alcohol in general can reduce inflammation when consumed in moderate amounts. What do I mean by moderate? 1 drink for women and 2 drinks for men. 1 drink is technically 5 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of beer, 1.5 ounces of liquor. So most of us probably pour way more than that, just FYI. A couple of studies looked at the effect of alcohol on rheumatoid arthritis. In a 2018 study, they found that there was a J-shaped curve between alcohol consumption and CRP levels, which is an inflammatory marker, meaning moderate amounts of consumption decreased CRP, but as intake of alcohol increased, so did CRP, indicating more inflammation. The same study also looked at joint inflammation and found no correlation between intake and inflammation, implying that the anti-inflammatory effect of alcohol is likely systemic and does not impact joints specifically. Another study in 2014 looked at alcohol intake and the risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis, and they found a modest association between long-term moderate intakes and reduced risk of rheumatoid arthritis, which is really interesting. So to summarize, moderate intakes of alcohol may have an anti-inflammatory effect within the body. As your intake increases, so do your inflammation markers. So how does alcohol affect the gut? And this is where I think things get really interesting. So as we know, our gut microflora or a microbiome plays a very important role in our overall health and chronic disease development. In a healthy gut, good bacteria helps to balance out the bad pathogenic bacteria and keep things in line. However, an increase in alcohol consumption can stimulate bacterial overgrowth and promotes dysbiosis, or what we call imbalance in the gut. Another detrimental effect of alcohol is that it can reduce bile acid production. Bile acids are produced in the liver and help digest fats, but bile acids also play a major role in maintaining gut microbial balance. Low bile acid production can lead to bacterial overgrowth and inflammation. There is an influential trigger of inflammation that is found in our gut, and this is called lipopolysaccharides, or LPS. LPS are found on the cells of gram-negative bacteria. And just a side note that gram-negative bacteria are major players in infection and have become a major public health problem because some of them have become resistant to antibiotics. E. coli is an example of a gram-negative bacteria. So these bacteria regularly release LPS particles into circulation, similar to cell turnover, to regenerate and maintain their structural integrity. Since our gut houses billions and trillions of bacteria, there are LPS particles regularly floating around in our gut, and our immune cells are very efficient at recognizing, attacking, and disposing of these LPS. However, when LPS levels increase from an increase in pathogenic bacteria, it can cause local inflammation in our gut lining. So we normally metabolize or break down alcohol in our liver. However, when our metabolic process gets overwhelmed from either too much alcohol intake or just a sluggish detox in general, some of that metabolism shifts to our gut, and our intestinal bacteria is capable of metabolizing alcohol. One of the byproducts produced in this metabolic process is a toxic compound called acetaldehyde. This is what causes flushing, headaches, nausea, vomiting in some people when drinking alcohol. It's also a carcinogen, meaning it causes cancer, and the presence of acetaldehyde triggers an inflammatory response in the gut. On top of this, alcohol can actually suppress our immune response of the gut mucosa, allowing more pathogenic bacteria to thrive. It can also weaken the tight junctions in our gut mucosa, allowing pathobacteria and LPS to escape into circulation. And when in circulation, LPS can actually mimic a bacterial infection and trigger an acute inflammatory response. So increasing your intake of alcohol can really do a number on your gut. It can cause bacterial overgrowth. It can reduce your bile acid production, leading to more overgrowth and inflammation. Alcohol can trigger an inflammatory response in your gut as it metabolizes alcohol, and it can suppress your immune response and weaken the tight junctions in your gut mucosal lining to ultimately trigger an inflammatory response. Whew, that's a lot. All right. So what do you do about alcohol? Yes, it can be good. Yes, it can be bad. What is my advice? So part of my overall philosophy about food and nutrition is that you should never restrict foods. Given that moderate intakes of alcohol have some protective effect against inflammation, I believe it's okay to drink responsibly and legally if you want. However, if you are in the process of healing your gut and maybe dealing with dysbiosis or other functional issues, I would be really careful about how much alcohol you consume. In one recent study, chronic alcohol intake increased long-term risk of flares in patients with inflammatory bowel disease. With some of my clients, I recommend saving alcohol for a special occasion and make sure that if you choose to drink, choose wisely. Similar to food, not all alcohol is made the same. I opt for organic wine and or sustainably produced alcohol. Some wines are made with less sugar, so that's another option too. If you want a mixed drink, be mindful of how much sugar is in them. Try to minimize concentrated juice and soda as mixers. My personal go-to mixed drink is tequila with fresh squeezed lime and a splash of fresh squeezed orange juice. Okay, so just to recap, today we focused on alcohol, why it can be protective, and then also why it can be inflammatory. So you have all the information. Now it's time for you to decide how you want to handle your alcohol intake. For those of you who would like more help managing your autoimmune disease, digestive issues, or just reducing inflammation in general, I would love to chat with you. I offer free 15-minute discovery calls to chat more about your goals and to see if we are a good fit for each other. So go to my website and you can sign up for that. While you're on my website, I've got lots of free handouts to check out. My favorite one right now is my Simple Guide to Detox. This guide covers all the basics of starting a detox plan, what foods to focus on, and what lifestyle tips you can implement to support your body's natural detox process. Lastly, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter. It comes to your inbox every Thursday, full of great information about how to manage your autoimmune disease with diet and lifestyle. You can subscribe, check it out. If you don't find it helpful, please unsubscribe. I don't want to clutter your inbox. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. These come out about every week, and I love giving people more tools and resources to help them feel better and live with their autoimmune disease. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.